Hi guys, welcome. If you're new here, I'm Sapphire and I would love to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Dr. Defi. So today we'll be discussing on the topic rug pull. So what is rug pull? Rug pull is basically getting scammed. This is when the owner or developer of a coin runs away with the investor's funds. So in summary, it's just them japping with your money after you've invested in a coin. So what are the various ways in which this can happen? Well, that's easy. One of the major ways in which this happens is by the developer pulling out or yanking out liquidity from the liquidity pool. This leads to my next question: what is a liquidity pool? Now I'm going to go to town with this a little bit because for you to properly understand rug pulling and how it comes about, I really have to make sure that you grasp the concept of a liquidity pool and liquidity as a whole. So when a developer creates a coin, they also have to develop a way in which these coins can be traded by new investors, and that way is via the liquidity pool. So now, what is this liquidity pool? Liquidity pool is just basically a collection of two tokens, one valuable and one newly minted token, and this would enable exchange, buying and selling of this particular token. Liquidity is just basically how an asset can be bought and sold at a stable price in the marketplace. It's how easily you can convert a token to and from each other without dramatically disrupting the price. That is what a healthy liquidity is. Now let me explain how a liquidity pool is. Now let's say you know how a pool is, but instead of water there are two cryptocurrencies, one worthless newly minted cryptocurrency and one that has value, let's say BNB. So let's say this pen is a newly worthless minted token, so let's call it pen, and then my hand right here is BNB. So inside this liquidity pool there'll be a lot of this pen and a lot of BNB, but they would be at equal price and at equal value and amount, so it's stable. That is what a healthy liquidity pool should look like. So let's say in this pool now I'm an investor and I want to take a pen from it and give you my own BNB that obviously isn't in the pool yet. What happens? I take my BNB and I place it in the pool, and then I take this pen out of the pool. Now there's a decrease in the amount of pen that is there and an increase in the price of the BNB, which makes it not equivalent. I remember I said in a liquidity pool you want it to be equivalent, you want it to be equal. So what happens is that these tokens that are left would increase in price in order to stabilize and measure up with the amount of BNB that is there. So this comes to how the rug pull happens. New investors keep coming in, they keep taking this worthless token, and then the tokens left in the liquidity pool keeps increasing in value, and then they're exchanging it with this BNB that already has so much value. And then in this pool the token reduces and then the BNB is increasing in price, and when the developer comes and yanks out the BNB, and then all of a sudden it's just the tokens there, and the token doesn't have any value if the BNB is not there. Its value is it's tied to the value of the BNB. So now all of the value of BNB is taken, and then there's literally nothing left but worthless tokens. So that is a simple description of what a rug pull is. Right. So now you're left with this worthless token, and there's like basically no liquidity pool, because for it to be a liquidity pool there has to be two cryptocurrencies. So now there's no liquidity pool inside, it's just worthless token and you can't trade. Because the thing is that when a developer creates a token, he has to also create a way in which these tokens can be traded. How can they get access to this token if it isn't through the liquidity pool? So now the BNB has been taken away, you're left with worthless tokens, and you've been scammed. Alright, so this isn't the only way this can happen. Here's another way it can happen. So you hear about this project, you come on, you read their white paper, wow, they're really selling this idea to you, the use case is perfect, they give you false promises of so many things that this token can do in the future, and why is the future, and why is the next big Bitcoin. And then of course so many people come and then they're investing and whatever, but what you do not know is that before they launched they already have extra tokens. Like maybe they said there's 20,000 tokens in supply, but you do not know that they kept 10,000 to themselves, and then they launch and then go ahead and buy maybe 5,000 of the token with like maybe different accounts, and then the price just skyrockets, and then you're like, oh my god, the price has increased, all right, let me sell this token and get my profits, and then you're trying to sell and you're like, what's happening? It's not selling. And then you're clicking the sell. And you're like, okay, why is this token not selling? Well, that is what has happened. They have put in a code which would only enable them have access to selling the tokens. So you can't sell the token, and so people keep buying, and you're seeing the price is skyrocketing. You're like, oh my god, I really need to sell, but then you cannot sell. Only them can sell. All right, so it skyrockets, and then it gets to the amounts of their satisfaction, and then they have all these extra tokens with them, and they have all these tokens that they bought at the launch at the lowest price, and let's say like maybe it was like 0.002, and people keep buying, and it just keeps increasing and all of that, and now it's like maybe 0.2 or maybe 0.5, and then they're like, okay, I'm satisfied, and then they sell all the tokens that they had, the extra ones that they had, and they sell all of the ones that they had at the launch, and then they cash out all of these people's monies that are inside that they cannot get back because they do not have the ability to sell. That is another way in which you can be rug pulled. Alright, so now how can you avoid being rug pulled? Number one, you ensure that the liquidity is locked. How do you do this? Ensure that you see the proper documentation of locked liquidity with a third party, in the sense that they would not be able to have access to the liquidity pool because it's locked with someone else, so they can't just run away with your money whenever they want or please. So in documentation you'd see that it's locked for maybe 3 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 5 months, it could be 2 years, but pay attention, because if it's 3 months, then be rest assured that after that 3 months it's possible that you can just take up your money and run away. So ensure that you take whatever profit you want to take within the period of that 3 months, or when it's close to that 3 months, so you would not be at a loss. Another way in which you can prevent yourself from getting robbed is by scanning the wallet address. You can scan it with either the Ether scan or the BSC scan, depending on the cryptocurrency that they pair this with. So you scan it, and then you look at the top 10 holders. If you see that they hold a very large percentage of the total supply, then you know that it's most likely was bought by the developer at launch, or it could be whales. And it really is kind of not the same thing, but the effect is kind of the same, because if whales come into a project, they do this a lot, they come into a project and then they buy large amount of these coins at very low prices, and the value increases and people keep on buying, and then the value gets to a point in which they feel like they've made significant profit, and then they sell, and then the value just crashes, and it crashes the price of the coin, or the token rather, and then it just really has such a huge blow and a huge effect on the project as a whole. So you have to watch out for that. Another way to avoid getting rug pulled is to ensure that your project has been audited. And what does that mean? This is like basically a methodical examination of the smart contract code that is interacting with the blockchain. So it's like you really just want to scan the project and ensure that the project, like the security is good, it doesn't have issues, it doesn't have errors. It's just basically a thorough scrutinization of the project by like a third party that is secure. So it shows if there's any errors, security vulnerabilities, if there are any issues, and it points it out in order for it to be fixed and analyzed and sorted out. So that's just basically what an audit is. So you ensure that it's done by a third party that is actually well known and is very reliable and safe, not just anybody that you don't know from anywhere, because you know how the internet is. So if there are multiple audits, even better. So that's it on auditing. Next up, alright, another way to prevent yourself from getting robbed and losing all of your money is by ensuring that they burn their tokens. And this is just basically when a percentage of the token is sent to an address that nobody really has control over. Now the disadvantage of this is that it really gives a false appearance of a big wallet being small. So, and this is obviously of an advantage to whales, but then to people who are just trying to be normal investors, this isn't really advantageous to them. How? Let's say there are 100 tokens in supply and in circulation, and then you go ahead and then you burn 90 of those tokens. Means that there are 10 tokens left, and this obviously makes the token of high demand because not much is in circulation. But then the thing is that if someone buys one of those 10 tokens and you check in the wallet address, it will show that this person has 1% of the total token, when in reality he actually has 10% of the total token. Does that make sense to you? And that's like a huge percentage, and that makes that person a whale. So that's another thing about burning tokens. All right, so another way to prevent yourself from getting robbed is to ensure that their wallet is a multi-signature wallet, in the sense that for any transaction to occur using that wallet, it requires individual passwords from each of these people. Now, that would prevent one person from just deciding one day that they want to steal all of the money and running away, and it would make it a bit harder. But in a case whereby the team is actually obviously in on the gig of stealing the money, then it's really not beneficial or effective. And I mean, they would all give their passwords and they'll still jump out with the money and share the money. So that's the disadvantage to the multi-signature wallets. Last but not least, check their websites, check their social media. Like people that actually invest in growing their social media organically, or you see that their websites actually, well, you wouldn't really know if you're not like a developer, but if you can tell good websites, you see that this website actually looks tech savvy, it looks like time was put into it, it looks like money was put into it. You check their social media, you see that they're really active, they're doing things organically, they're doing things the right way. You check all of their social media handle, and then you see that okay, everything tallies, it looks like these people are putting effort, work and money into it, then I guess that could be trusted. But in a case in which you go and then you see that the website is just one anyhow website which you can sit down in your room and you can make, or the social media, like it's basically in existence, like probably there's no Twitter, there's no other social Instagram or something that would actually be of benefit to them, and the white paper is like 5 pages or more, I promise you that is a scam. Just carry yourself and just leave that place, because I mean obviously they wouldn't put much work into something that they do not feel is sustainable. So yes. So what do you do when you realize that, oh my god, I'm literally watching a rug pull happen right now? Well, quite frankly, I don't think that there's much you can do, because it usually happens really quickly. But in the case whereby maybe it's just like the beginning of the project and these people plan on maybe staying a bit before rugging, maybe 3 months after they've locked the liquidity and all of that, you can pull out your money ASAP. You can alert the community that, okay, you guys have done my research, I put it on Rock Doctor, I put it on Token Sniffer, and apparently it's consistent with the scam. You can let them know, knowing fully well that obviously their team members are on the group chat and they most likely are seeing it. Or if you have the strength, you can alert them individually. Or you could also report the page or the token or the website or whatever to the rockdoctor.com.io rather, and then he'll put it on his website, and then it would have more awareness, it will create more awareness rather. And yeah, basically that's it. Because the thing is that because this is a decentralized system and mode of operation, nobody is held responsible, and there really isn't any regulation or regulatory bodies that are in existence for cryptocurrency yet. So if they steal your money, nobody's held accountable, they steal it and they move on. Just a side note, I've actually been robbed. The first time it happened, luckily for me, I actually didn't put in much money. I think I put in like $50. But then I was still like, what's happening? Because let me tell you what happened. I went and I decided that I wanted to mod for them based on I was really passionate about their project growing now. So I went, I was really modding for them, I was really shining hard, I was really hyping the community. All of a sudden I'm like, what's happening? The mod group chats, they've deleted the group chats. They are not on the group chat, the developers are not in the group chat anymore. I go on the main group chat, they've muted the group chat, and I had never experienced a rug before, so I didn't know that was what was happening. Then people, the other mods that were helping, that were community members, were like, oh shit, like, oh my gosh, we just got rugged, like, I can't believe it, man. One guy was like, I'm so devastated, I'm going home to kill myself, this is like my last cash and all of that. I was obviously trying to encourage them, like, don't worry, you'll be okay, there's still hope, you bounce back. Like, money can always be made and stuff like that. It paid me but I mean, obviously it didn't pay me like the guy who put in like $5,000 into the project. So that's my own small story of when I was robbed. So in summary, ensure that you do your own research, be safe out there, acquire knowledge, and utilize every single thing that I said in this video. That being said, we have come to the end of our video, and I believe that you actually learned a lot, and I believe that if you implement every single thing that I've said, it would give you a certain degree of protection from being rogged. So yes, don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and join our amazing Telegram community where we give the juiciest of opportunities and updates. And remember, I did for you always. Until next time, bye.